Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we're recording, before the D&D session for today. I'm actually not sure exactly how this D&D session's going to go. You might be like, did you do your prep, I suppose, for this D&D? But it wasn't actually too much to necessarily do, because I had already done the prep beforehand for this one. Most of my D&D prep, I think, over holidays was, one, not too much, and mostly, to be honest, for the joint session, which was pretty good. But this one is more like where we left off in things I'd already prepped for, so, but we'll get into that in a second. Hello everyone, we're now in Fawnhallow at 6:04 PM on Monday, January 19th, 2026. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one, because I'm not super sure. Like, I know on the grand scale what's going to happen. We're going to have this conversation, they're probably going to have some other small activities that they want to do, and then they're going to have another big conversation. The thing is, I don't know exactly what they're going to have in the conversation, because in both these cases, rather than it being like for my end, like an exposition dump, well, hopefully not an exposition dump, it's more like confirmation probably, because they already have a pretty good idea of what's going on, and they're going to ask some specific questions. It's more like them, I'm assuming, being like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? What did you know about this? That's my assumption. It might not be. It might not be. Maybe it'll be super anticlimactic. I don't know. But it's very much gotten to a point. They are in the late part of this act. Like, they're basically at the end. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they know at this moment what they need to do. It's just like getting the resources to do so is a difficult part. And honestly, I think they're doing stuff to make it like easier for them, essentially. Like, I don't want to say too much in case it gives away probably what they need to do, but I mean, we're doing a lot of talking, trying to sort of like iron out the details. So I do imagine this session is going to be the one which sort of irons out a lot of things of like, oh, this is what happened definitively, because a lot of it has been like under layers of obfuscation, because, and as you in both campaigns, have things to do with like memory modification and memory erasure, which makes things a bit difficult to put stuff together. But, you know, it's been careful enough not to, have everyone, obviously, have their memory erased or anything like that. So I'm curious, basically, to how it goes. But for my end, it's going to be a bit difficult, because it's more like, I know the plot, but there's nothing I can, like, very specifically, or very little I can specifically plan for, which makes it a bit tough. But that's how it usually is. So yeah, I'm recording now, if anything, because I'm just like, I don't want to record at like 11 PM today or whatever. Maybe I'll record a different series tonight. Like, I need to record more Lorelei and Malaise. I've already spoken about this, but I'm like, I don't know. Lorelei and Malaise, it's just not quite hitting for me at the moment. Like, I don't know what to do necessarily about it. Like, there may be a point partway through when I'm like, it all clicks, it all falls into place. I love this. But at the moment, it's sort of like, wait, we're going for it. It's not that bad, like, obviously, like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate it or anything, but like, it's hard for it to compete against Nine Souls, and it's hard for it to compete against Fall of Porcupine, which is a story-based game. But now I talk about it, you wouldn't be surprised to think if I like absolutely hate this game. I actually genuinely don't. I think it's a fun game. I'm just like, when it comes to recording, sometimes motivation is a key contributor. But yes, what I was going to talk about today, actually, is what I did yesterday, essentially. Oh, one of the few things I did yesterday. I was going to talk about something else, but like that didn't actually end up panning out, so we're going to talk about something else instead. But like, basically we went out and the sole purpose that we were going to go like try and buy like a nice tent, basically, because we've done some camping before or something, and we're like, we've done enough camping on this holiday, we would appreciate having like a real nice tent to go camping in. But we unfortunately, where we went, they were like refurbishing their tent section, so none of the tents were out, so it's like, okay, we can't actually browse any of these, which kind of sucks. But yeah, well, I mean, like, we had some which we found online and which we were like, this looks pretty good, but we also like, it'd be nice to see them in person to have a bit more of a judgment about it, but so be it. Because I don't know like quite to what level of tent we're gonna get, but we want to get something a bit nicer. The one we have right now is just like, we're literally like shoulder to shoulder, 4 of us in one tent, which is still fine, but like yes. But the other thing we did is we watched a movie called Marty Supreme, I believe, right? Marty Supreme. Yes, Timothy Chalamet, of course, directed by Josh Safdie, known for Uncut Gems, and it's like a thriller drama, I'd say. A sports comedy drama is interesting. I didn't think it was particularly comedic, but I guess it is sports focused. Okay, so this is the thing. What did I think of it overall? I thought there were parts of it I did like actually quite a lot, and I think it's one where definitely there are moments where it hit, but I think it's like genuinely in my mind I'm like, it feels too long. And the way I describe it is a movie which slams on the accelerator and doesn't let go for the entirety of a movie, which you might be like, oh, does that mean like it's kind of exhausting to watch? In some things, yes, or it's like it's too scary, too thrilling, too like heart pumping. In some ways, yes, but it actually had like weirdly the adverse effect where I was like, at the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, this is tense, this is dramatic, oh yeah, this is cool, I like this. You know, it's got a really fast pacing, but like I think it actually does well with this fast pacing. It's basically like trimming out the fat. But then like because it slams on the accelerator for so long and so hard, like there's very, very few slow, shorter moments. Like it doesn't give you any breathing room, which basically gets to the end by like the mid to the late part. I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, things gonna escalate, yeah, okay, might as well happen. It had the inverse effect where I no longer felt tense during it. I just felt like I'm like kind of over it now. I still think it's some of my friends absolutely hated it. One of my friends said it was the worst movie he ever watched. I don't think it's the worst movie ever. Like I actually still think it's kind of good. I just think like the balance, because I like fictional drama, you know, fictional tense moments, and I like heart-wrenching moments more so, I suppose, than necessarily like stressful moments. But this was, I was like, I feel like it was a better balance here, at least on me personally. There's a lot of moments, because it's weird, because I like, if you gave me the scenes individually, like if it was maybe like in a TV series or like they're more spaced out, you know, I had more time rather than watching them back to back in a movie, I'd be like, yes, these are all pretty fun and pretty good. Some of them I would just like, this is so, to me, I was like, this escalates way too much. Like, I think, I'm trying not to give spoilers, but basically the way I'd summarize it is like, a lot of it is pretty good, like, don't get me wrong, but there are quite a few moments in it where I was like, you didn't need to escalate it that far, like, I already got the point by this point, you didn't need to do that. It's sort of like, you already turned it up to like 9, 10, or whatever, you didn't need to like break your knob and go even further to 11. Like, I mean, I guess that's what you're going for, which is totally fair enough, but for me as a viewer watching it, I was just like, from my perspective, I'm like, this is just very unnecessary at this point. And it sort of like dulls down everything else, because everything else which now needs to be shocking needs to match that or go further, which it, you know, didn't always do. But yeah, I'm going to talk vaguely about it, because to me, it's basically a movie which embodies the sin of pride, because it's actually a movie which, you know, very charismatic salesperson sort of like lead, who very early on got basically exactly what he needed, exactly what he wanted, but he let pride get in the way of it. He didn't take it. Like if he just like humbled himself for a moment very early on, boom, he would have got exactly what he wanted, you know, big picture sort of thing. It would have been a small sacrifice to his own hubris, his pride or whatever, to boom, achieve his goals. But he couldn't do it. He just kept escalating up and up and up. Kept being like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. You know, leaps at every single opportunity, but fails to see the forest for the trees, essentially. He's not a big picture sort of person, which ends up having just sort of like an absolute downfall, I suppose, car crash, where, you know, at the beginning I was like, okay, I'm into this. And then like partway, like the early middle part, I was like, this guy's like getting away with too much stuff. Like, this is like, what is this? Is this meant to be like, what are these called, when the fiction where you just get like, where you live vicariously through someone else being like really awesome? And then he goes on like a sort of like downfall. I mean, he goes on like a hard downfall, and you feel like he's going to pull it back up, but then he doesn't really, kind of. Which I think in general was pretty good, but like it was pretty like exhausting in some ways to watch. But apparently it's kind of based on Marty Reisman's life, which is crazy. Like how much is it based on something? Some of it is, it looks like, Doesn't seem like he had that much of a downfall or something. It's not biological. Okay. There's not advertising as biographical. It just takes stories which are influenced from it. Wonder what he thinks of it. Did he approve of it? I don't know. I will say though, that's only my only problem with it really is writing just like feels like it didn't give enough room to breathe. I will say the acting in it is phenomenal. Timothée Chalamet is incredible in it. Who is Odessa Azion? I've never even heard of her, but she was amazing in it as well. She's genuinely incredible. Like acting, like basically every single actor just gave it their all, and it was awesome. And the pacing, while it did feel pretty fast, it was like a good fast for most of it, to be honest. And the score actually I really liked as well, to be honest. Like good timing. Would I recommend watching it? I actually think I kind of would, you know. I think it's like obviously, you know, this is by the director who did Uncut Gems, which I haven't seen, but depending on how much you like Uncut Gems, if you've seen that, I'd imagine this is kind of like a similar thing from what I hear about Uncut Gems. That level of sort of like drama and tension. Because some parts of it I think are like very enrapturing to watch, and then some parts of it I'm just like, what? Why would... Not even like why would this happen like in universe, but like why would you... Why is this put, I suppose, in it? You know, like I'm gonna say all bets are off now regarding spoilers or whatever. But there's part of it I'm just like, it doesn't need to escalate that far. Like I got the point already, but like maybe it does need to for the plot, but I don't know. Like there's one part where they did a scam on some people and then they left, and then the people who got scammed chased them down at like a petrol station. They have like a fight essentially, and they light them all on fire with a petrol station with like petrol. I'm like, sure, fine, like whatever. Obviously Chekhov's gun, you know, it's gonna light them on fire, they're gonna burn or something. But then it's like, it's so over the top. Like the entire escape sequence outwards and things, like the entire petrol station basically explodes, and I'm like, whoa. It's so extra. Which in some ways I'm just like, I would be like, yeah, I love how extra it is, like go for it, why not? If you're going to be extra, be extra. But also it's like the 50th time this movie is extra. So it's sort of like, okay, I see. I think that was the first time in a movie I was like, alright, fine, whatever. And then there's another point later on when he's like in the motel, he's like washing up in the bathtub, and then like, you know, Chekhov's gun, like don't use the shower, etc, etc. And like something's gonna happen surely. Didn't expect him to, the bathtub to collapse, fall out, and then basically shatter a guy's arm in the floor below. That's just crazy. I was just like, what is happening in this movie? And as I say, like if there was more, I think, time to breathe in between these like high intensity moments, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I think it would hit with a better impact. Except for I just remember my reaction in those moments, just being like, what? Why? There's a lot of screaming and shouting in this movie. Tensions run high all the time, essentially. And I will say Marty Supreme very much, he is someone who gets his like comeuppance kind of in the end, and it's kind of like ambiguous. Is it a good or bad ending? I don't know. That's up to the viewer to decide. In my eyes, it's sort of like a kind of. It's a bad ending from Marty Supreme's perspective, from Marty's perspective, but it's a good ending from an outside perspective, where it's finally like, bro, you've learned to chill out finally. You learn to finally be happy with, I suppose, the things you have, you know, instead of gunning for trying to do the top and overstep your boundaries, I suppose, every single time. But from his perspective, I'm sure he's like settling. What I will say, you know, writing-wise and like dialogue-wise, it does very well at basically making all characters like kind of unlikable in their own way, right? I don't know if there's any character in there which I was like, yeah, I like this character. Like as a person. Like I like him as a character, but as a person, like I don't know, maybe a taxi driver? That's the only one I can think of. Because like Marty obviously is just like, he's rude, he oversteps his boundaries, he's so incredibly pompous and full of himself. He basically believes he's the protagonist of a world, essentially, is a way I'd put it. Rachel, like she starts out pretty sympathizable, I think, and all that, although she does definitely have some, you know, the cheating stuff is like not great. And then turns out that she's also hustling the hustler, Marty himself. So, you know, it's kind of like we're kind of like made for each other, I suppose, in that way, weirdly enough. And Keystone, like celebrity, also cheating and that stuff. I'm not necessarily even sure why she's never necessarily falling that much for Marty. I was like, some of the decisions she did, I was like, come on, girl. Where's your self-respect? The big CEO guy, he's obviously not meant to be all that likable. Who else even is there? Maybe like the employee at the beginning who Marty works with in the shoe shop is fine. Like, he's just trying to like live his life. You know, he's just trying to be normal. The taxi driver, also pretty normal guy, I guess, getting roped into this. I don't know. It's crazy. Like, because there's a lot of it I do like about this movie, which is why I'm just like, it's weird because it's not like I dislike or I feel indifferent about this movie. It's more like, yes, there are a lot of parts which I really do like, and there are a lot of parts which I'm like, didn't hit for me. Because I really love the drama that came from the actual table tennis itself, like that arc, you know, the general arc of him trying to be the best. He came second place, and then wave hands what he would do to try and become first again, and then his own sort of like resolution of trying to find his own ending at the end of the movie, for proving that he can still beat the Japanese table tennis player. Like, that encapsulated, I'm just like, that was delicious drama, you know, high tension, all that sort of stakes, pride, that sort of stuff. That I loved. Trying to think what else to say about the movie. I don't know. There's not many movies, I think, which I've seen like this. I don't tend to normally go after like that high drama sort of things, you know. But part of me, it does feel like I might like watching Uncut Gems or The Bear or that sort of thing, because they're the same sort of lines. Anyway, some of my friends absolutely hated it. I think the way I described it, basically encapsulated it, was like, this movie needs to like chill out just a bit. Like, not entirely, because I know that's kind of what it's going for, but like, it needs room to breathe, so then its punches land, you know, rather than it just becoming like a numbing sensation, in my opinion. Everyone else probably has different. Your mileage may vary when it comes to it. Uncut Gems is actually 91% tomato meter, 52% popcorn meter. That's crazy. I thought it was very well received. Maybe it's a similar sort of vibe. I don't know. What else is it? What else is in the same sort of genre? A sort of like high tension drama thriller. I can't believe it's put as a comedy. I'm trying to think like what moments I found particularly comedic. I don't remember. I guess it's comedic in a very haha awkward laughter sort of way. Some of the things he says. The character says, of course. Anyway. It's an interesting movie. Give it a watch? Maybe. Depends on what sort of movies you like. If you don't want to watch a stressful movie, I would not watch this movie. That's probably how I would best encapsulate it. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see you again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye-bye for now.